They definitely have.
And they're here to see how far they can get. And one of these two teams is going to get one step further than the other. And I think that's the sort of energy of this game is, you know, they're teeing themselves up for the rest of 2022 now.
You want to know, by the way, why Prano was having such a good time?
I want to know why Prano was having a good time, yeah.
He just had his first ever successful ratio. On
Caliber
Jacob. Yeah.
Yeah. That was very funny in the talent room this morning. Especially when he went to correct Sam. And
You mean San?
San.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jacob.
Yeah. I mean, it was the NA boys that were tearing into Jacob, so it's fine. They're like...
Yeah. We're just the reporters that will bring the newsfeed live to you. Either way, we are getting underway, and as the Goyo gets removed here on Cafe, it is quite a logical ban, considering how strong the shields can be. Mira also quite normal, I'd say. Finka, in this meta, is starting to become a bit of a problem in some of the hands, especially with an LMG, the healing capabilities, grenades, and a Gun 6. You know, it's totally not like there's a lot of utility online there. The only one that I might have not seen coming was the Maverick.
Yeah, the Maverick, obviously, it's the limitation of the grenades. It's the limitation from potential pushes and plants. With Thatcher on the board, it's not like he's massively needed for too many of the takes. And you're sort of looking at places where the Maverick would have the time to work. Because, you know, if you're taking on the top floor and you're taking across bar, he's not going to have so much time to try and burn his way through, obviously, the general walls onto Freezer. Yep. If you're looking down at Kitchen... Yeah, that's probably the only place if you're on the bakery side. Maybe not even on the opposite side, but to be honest, the bottom of white and that side is usually open anyway, or at least half open. I think it's that curious decision there with Maverick, because how big of a removal really is it here from Rook?
That's it. Might have been onto something here. It could be having to do all with the hatch around Freezer later on in that bottom floor. I'm not quite sure. I also don't know if you want to ban a single operator for just a singular site. Either way, as the score is 0, it will be one of these two teams that will be taking the very first step towards either elimination or progressing through the lower bracket. They're knocked down already. They're not getting a ticket back in if they win this suddenly. That is not going to be the case. Valkyrie cameras are, however, being tossed out. One that is quite obvious, the other one a little bit more hidden. So if they do find that first one, they might think, oh, look, there you have it. Nay's like, okay, got the Valkyrie camera. Looks like we might be clear. But as soon as they start rappelling up, there will be a second one. And this is checking it. Doesn't see it. No, it is there.
I saw it because I knew to look for it.
Yeah, I knew where to look for it as well. But, you know, he doesn't know. And they might think it's clear. Ooh.
That was almost massively devastating. If that was a good grenade, that would have been a kill. Obviously, took a second there to go into the camp to see if they could get a pull there. Prano just pulled himself out of that danger. A perfect bounce right round to where he was sat, and he's found himself a little bit safer than otherwise could have been an entirely unprepared and unannounced entrance into the building. Elevate to the top floor. They're going to see if they can try and start the close down on these hatches. Pull somebody or something out from the top here. They've got themselves that breach over across the top there. Looking to try and get themselves in was Nerix on the ground floor. About to find a fight on Brown and just almost whiffs that entirely. Prano locked out as the early pick. Sees a couple of feet, sees a couple of shoes, and in a second is about to see a second player. There is a bit of an awareness. A bit of an idea that somebody is just holding on to that, and well, he doesn't have anywhere else to go for now. He can wait for the pressure to come round from the other players. It's sort of on Leon at this point to try and force a movement here because, well, Elevate have that body advantage.
That's it, right? And even though Prano cheated death once before with a grenade, that wasn't quite cooked to land it perfectly underneath his feet, but the time was there for him to get off. It's him that gets picked up first. And Nerix now very close to find a second. It's Leon that is quite close with that smoke. Ace is rotating back up as the pressure seems to be coming down from the planks area. They need to go for the push, and indeed he will do so as well. Nerix with a double entry as Sapper finds one more. 2 left on the side of Rogue here on this first defending round. And as it's only up to Aces now, he decides to go for the hunt on the bottom floor. Nerix is quite close. He was on white. He made his position known. And he's going to try and go for that challenge first. A flawless to start it off.
A flawless to start it off, and a very well put together lockdown. Elevate, they knew where they needed to be. They knew how they wanted to apply the pressure onto that mid. They obviously had the Jackal come in from underneath, won that early engagement, which I don't know if they fully expected it, but that's why you sort of have caution when you move around a building, because even though, you know, they weren't instantly locking in, it wasn't like a intense bit of intel read. There was like, there might be someone around Brown, and it turned out there was. Caught the kill, caught the movement.
That puts Elevate onto a 1-0 lead right here. The first step of many taken to put themselves up into the upper bracket, continue their road, potentially fighting themselves to the grand finals. Which is, of course, the goal of every single team here at the Six Invitational.
Oh, it would be nice.
It would be nice. APAC for the first time ever would be the case. I think the winner of this game, do they take on... No, they don't take on Demon Kia, do they? No, they don't.
I don't remember.
The things get swapped. The bracket sometimes gets a bit confusing, especially when you're working with the lower bracket and they just keep swapping.
Yeah, there's a little bit of
every round.
Trying to diversify the brackets as best as possible.
Yeah.
You know, rematches are fun twice. The second time is fun, but I think you always want to avoid teams bumping into each other, unless you're fresh doing a draw with Milos and you put the two APAC teams against each other.
I still cannot forgive them for doing that.
No one ever will.
No one ever will. Fresh, absolutely the curse there. They didn't do the draw this time. This time they didn't come up against each other.
No.
So, you know.
There we go.
I just want to say.
They almost matched Dev. Aces. He's trying to see if he can get an early pick on anyone going for the approach. There's already a body looking to be set up on White Window as well. And Eric's once again wasting no time getting in underneath. DCH is putting the pressure on the bottom of White at the same time. They're going for a similar sort of take as they did before, and they're seeing if they can be rewarded in the same manner. At this point, it's sort of down to Rogue to sort of change their positions up a little bit. They were caught out unaware in a couple of positions. They found themselves losing territory underneath and then at the top at the same time. And they didn't quite know how to position themselves. Obviously, if the first fight had gone away from them, then suddenly they only have to focus their direction upwards. But still, you can see Rogue is sort of drifting their way around the map. They're dancing in, they're pulling back. They're trying to find just a way to rebuff this early approach.
And that's it. But the big change here is that there's been no entry yet. However, it might not last very long. Nerix around the corner with that Jekyll has the information, of course, on that Jekyll, but also sees these footsteps, knows if a player has been close, and as he sees them slowly dissipate and change color, he now finds the very first engagement. Crying takes a small amount of damage, but doesn't quite die yet. As he rotates back into it, spots him yet once more. Nerix unable to pick up these kills, starts to create that little bit of a rotation here with the ITA-12S, which of course the perfect secondary shotgun for it.
That's it. If you fire it against a person, most of the time it'll do about a P's worth of damage, but you have it as a bit of an active movement. You have it for a Jackal as well, who can utilize it to try and get some footprints in places he might not have otherwise been able to get to, and it's suddenly huge. Here he is, Nerix. He's been able to find himself up inside pillars. Drones are whirring their way through. They haven't been able to get the picks that they had before. There's been a couple of scrapes and scraps, and Elevate have gone untested on their HP so far, but Rogue have obviously suffered on 3 different facets, and they're doing their best to hold on. And the burn's going to start to come, so Ace is just going to get out of there. He knows that that shield is sort of an inevitability to be dropped at that point, as the grenades are going to come just behind those flashes, and, well, he still has a choice to try and swing back into this. An impact goes quite wide, hits a lot of DCH, and makes that fight a little bit more sort of tepid for him at this point, but it's Sapper with a bit of width on the balcony.
I see Reteras are being used right now, and it's going to be the entry kill in the way of Elevate. An instant trade comes through, though, as Aces picks one up more. The min advantage still stays in the hands here of Elevate. There's only 25 seconds left, and smoke canisters will be deployed. They need to try and stop this plant from happening, and as they now realize, okay, this is probably not going to be the right place to go for, they need to rotate around. So they head towards the dining area, but there will be Prano sitting right behind the bookshelf here, jumping over, doesn't quite spot the player who gets saved by. But it's only 2 players left on the side of Elevate. The plans will be attempted. Napu needs to go for the perfect cover here as Leon is about to swing around the corner. He didn't see the feet, and it's going to be Sapper that lock it out.
I'm curious what happened on the rotate. Was that a player that was just lying down that Prano didn't flick to? Or was it a player that had gone
came
down?
in, but he was DBNO'd, so he was shot by someone else.
Okay, because it was like an awkward shuffle down to try and get on the rotate that turned into a DBNO.
I think he got, like, he went prone to go through, but at the same moment got DBNO'd. So
and you can see the same way, like, Prano hesitated there in that moment and go, do I swing for this one? No, he's down. I need to find a fight elsewhere, and obviously that went away from them. And then suddenly it was this very different moment of it's all closing down. It's all collapsing. The sledge was above, making the work and pushing him into an uncomfortable position, so he couldn't hold that intense swing round onto Zulu corner. throwing themselves in and picking themselves up and going for the fight. He knew that if he sat that, he would have been cut in half by a shotgun. The cover wasn't there, so be your own cover in that situation. That is 2 in a row for Elevate, and Rogue, they're going to opt for a different site.
The late rotation there was quite crucial because they realized, okay, 2 more smoke canisters still to go, 20 seconds, that we will not make unless we force ourselves through, and that often doesn't quite work out as well. Just decided to go for the dining. Managed to get the plan through in the end. It was a bit of a force those last couple of seconds, and a lot of their own players got punished for it, but they managed to live through it and win the round in the end. That's all that matters, and as we head towards the mining and dining next, let us see if it will be another Elevate round. Ooh, they will spot 1.
There it goes.
And they spot 2.
And they spot 2. They're learning.
This is what I was talking about as well with the new way that the drones work. It's easier to spot Valkyrie cameras being tossed outside. You just find the wall that opens up, and as the first gets taken out, Krine is debating whether or not you should go for a jump out straight away.
It would be a bold strategy. It would be a bit of a take. They're going to see if they can find the other. You assume it's sitting just on that canopy, which is a little bit awkward to shoot from underneath. You have to get to a sort of hiding position before you can take care of that cam. And, well, Nate's already up there. He might find a fight there. It seemed like there was a body not too far away from that new bow couch, but they're not actually going to lean in as of yet. They're going to pull themselves back. Rogue, they sort of realized how close they were on the previous round. They don't want to overextend, and yeah, it's a different site, but still, when they went for those loose plays on that opening round, they were very quickly picked up by Elevate.
Now we have 3 players of Rogue up on that top floor, only 2 near the side, and there's limited verticality currently on the board. By the way, Elevate has been playing. They could either try and proceed through, or Nerix just sneaks in from the back, finds a kill, and they suddenly try and force themselves through the sites again. It seems like he's aware someone is on that pillar, a ping is coming out. He wants to have some more information, or at least a bit of a push to come through from the rest of his team. That's a phone call. He hears the noise, he knows someone is out there, spots it, and gets the entry yet once more. Perfectly lurking Nerix is, every single round so far, engaged in that opening.
Nerix has been causing so many problems on that Jackal, and obviously just being able to find and isolate his own way through the map. He's been able to repeatedly get into these situations and positions without anyone having an idea or having a sort of knowledge, and across all 3 rounds so far, he's at least found a strike out of it. And here, now they have that opener, but they are rebuffed. Aces is able to take care of DCH, a swing round on the far side. The Iana's gone, a big player as well, who, to be fair, pops off a little bit more on the Jaeger on their defenses, but still it's a removal on Kafe, which is this constant moving aggressive sort of mix of gameplays and styles. Rips. There's some attention still being played to the verticality here. They have that lockdown. It's important to keep, but look at all the drones, look at all the bodies and players that are stacked up, and, well, not for very long. A double down as well. Somebody else got caught at exactly the same second as Rips did. Crying's off. Brano, he's locked in there. You can see the diffuser is being dropped at the top of the stairs. They want to go for the engagement and not risk losing it too, and Brano's just out of there.
Drops all the way down into the basement. Aces gets a bit of verticality right above him as he gets spotted out by a drone. 20 seconds left on that clock. The diffuser needs to go down at some point, and as it has been recovered, the hatch will be opened up towards the training museum. That gives them an opening to either side. If they find one, they'll surely go for the push in that area. And as the drops come through, it's only up to Prano now. He gets that one. That's the diffuser, but Nerix right behind him to go for the trade straight away. And a pretty clean round coming in here for the side of Elevate yet once again. And you don't see it, but we saw the kill cam there. He spotted... Either way, we're getting back into 0-3. Elevate is currently leading, and they will bring us, well, yet another attack. It's Rogue that's on that defense. They will go up to that top floor now. One we have been to almost every single round, but not as the main site, but as an extra. Considering that Rogue were out there, Rogue were holding from the top down, but every single time Elevate was able to shut them down. So this time around, Rogue decided, you know what? We put 3 people down on the top floor every single time, but every single time we lose it. What about we just place the bomb sites there and 5 people? Might be the difference they need.
Might be.
Might be that first round that they are hunting for currently here on this series and on Kafe. Because Elevate so far have been absolutely dominant over the side of Rogue. And yes, there was a close round here, but overall, all the entries went their way, even a flawless they have so far. And as that one will be prepared for a potential electro claw. It seems like Ace is told to come back up and place it in a different direction. Maybe because they won't be playing that much. Oh no, maybe for impact tricks. Seems to be the reasoning here. Just open up some holes so you can stop any potential breaches to come through. Rips should be the one to carry them, but I don't see them on the overlay, so I doubt that they're actually there. Oh, Narix again, he's just sneaking in here. He's so quick into the building, and it just hasn't been read, and he spots these footsteps. Gets a skin out. That should be Aces, I think. Yep, there you go. They now know he's back on the side, so that is one roamer less to worry about. And as he continues checking these corners, he now knows, guys, no one is out here because I've literally been in the building from the first 10 seconds. They know I'm here, but that's fine. There's no roamers. Everybody's on that top floor, and that gives them a lot less worry.
I think that's the thing as well. I'm wondering if that was a big part of the conversation, is how much they've been punished by the positioning and the loss of just knowledge of where Elevate have got themselves up to. Because Elevate, they're not subtle about big portions of their play. They'll stack up onto windows, they'll cause a lot of noise, get in a lot of people's faces, and then, you know, Rogue was sort of focused on that, and at the same time you had this repetition of Narix just sort of finding his way elsewhere. He was dipping and diving and ducking and weaving. You can see him underneath in train, but he hasn't quite been able to get the same read in so far. He's going to go cautious, and he's waiting for that big brash bit of Elevate's push to make that little bit of noise and drive that little bit of fury here. It's coming across the top. They're going to see if they can try and get a swing in. That drone was dropped instantly, and Leon suffers a little bit on the wide swing, but he's stacked in with a shotgun and ready to rock and roll as soon as someone hits Pixel.
A lot of electrification coming through. That flashbang will just not blind him. That one will, and now they can just start to push in. However, a player on the white stairs is going to be able to pick up a double kill there. Crying finds DCH and Nay as the phone call goes off. It's Narix that is just sneaking around the corner here, hoping to pick up that kill and at least retake control of white. Question is, however, is Narix going to be able to pick this one up and bring it back to even? He gives away his position. Crying is well aware.
Narix, he really wants to try and take this fight now, but obviously the more pressure that gets put on Cryan, it's a really important trade. If they find themselves 3 bodies down, suddenly Elevate's really in a tight spot here. Cryan, he's found 2 for his measure, but it's Sapper that gets dropped, and it's another one! A quad for Cryan on Igiri. All that's left now on the round at least locks out Leon, but a handful of seconds, and the team talk was a very decisive factor here. Rogue found their way to a single floor to hold. And there's at least some revenge for his 4 other players. I think Cryan was looking for an ace based on the final positioning. But he did more than enough there, especially, obviously, the coverage of Leon was big, the double kill. But then there, like, going for the Sapper fight first at the same time as the pressure coming in from underneath him. Very well played.
Now, you're wondering, all right, there was a lot of denial on those walls. You had mute jammers, you had electro claws. It was basically impossible to go through for the current lineup that they had on the side of Elevate. Maybe they should have tried and bounced a grenade around the corner so you can get rid of the mute jammers. You can open up into the bathroom area there, but instead they just tried to go for the gunfight instead. And Rogue, they read that perfectly. They managed to play into it, and now they'll head towards the mining again. Now, it is important to know, if I'm correct, right, Thatcher is open if I'm looking at these bands.
I'm looking at the same bands as you.
Unless there's somehow a Thatcher band that snuck in. But we don't see them coming out yet from Elephant. Yeah, maybe it's a moral band. But we don't see coming in yet from Elevate. And it could have really helped them on that top floor because you just disable everything in one EMP. You can open up the freezer, you can open up the bathroom, and suddenly those 2 players are easy to pick up. They just don't feel like playing it looks like. They use their 1 hard breacher, they bring their soft breach, and, well, Narix, of course, on the Jekyll as well, has been doing some amazing work for the side of Elevate. And then you're wondering, who do you swap out? I would say an Igiri should be the one that goes to the Thatcher, if anybody, considering he has been swapping some of the roles, but overall, it isn't that necessary. Just on that top floor is where they struggled, and Rogue is not allowed to go back there for the rest of the half.
I'm a fan of the bulletproof on the speaker. I know that occasionally you used to put a Maestro cam on there back when they weren't able to have the glass smashed, and the bubble would then since get popped too easily, so they pulled it back for a lot of takes. But just a cheeky little bulletproof there. You don't always check it, and it sort of blends in, and obviously you have that ability to swing there. It's calls, though, on the gadgetry that is up in that top floor. The Banshee is being paid some attention, and Narix is making some noise where they thought he had a catch or what he was after at that point, or he's just prepping himself an angle. prior or for later. Either way, he's potentially not alone. The IQ is in the pockets of Onigiri.
See, this is where it becomes so useful if you have that scanner activated. You can just see if someone has been here. And now we'll know, okay, Mozzie is no longer here. Bottom floor seems to be clear. Let's move up to the next one, because there's nothing I can do here anymore in this case, except for putting some pressure down. It's just one of the scans used. Will be spotted out by the camera, so they know he's out there. But as he instantly rotates back towards the brown stairs, he leaves a bit of a wonder in the sides of Rogue. Is he going up brown? Is he going up white? He needs to make sure both are being held. And with more utility being taken out, he tries to give himself and create a bit of a mystery around himself.
It sounded like there was a little bit of a scrap fight there as well. Onigiri is the first to go down. Cryin is able to pick that kill up, whether it was a drop from the top or a rise from the bottom. We saw him outside the building, so I'm going to assume that was a hit on the hatch itself. And here it means that there's got to be this recollection. Elevate, they're picking themselves up. They're moving over to the side of white. They've got themselves stacked up here for the chance to push alongside Napier, who's dug in just on the other side of that triple wall of reading. He's curious about the possibility of someone going for a swing round on the upper balcony, but they start to make some noise, cut themselves directly across the buck. He's going to see if he can cause some problems, tries to utilize that key to find the lock above him, but Rogue aren't giving them anything, and so far this is the first time we've seen Elevate go for this sort of push and not really have verticality, so the swing starts to come up over onto the white side.
With 3 peoples up on the top floor here, and Elevate is going to be able to pick up one on the hands of Sapper. Finds Cryin. And now they want to have the wall open up even more so they could go for either a long hold or a potential flank and plans to come through. DCH picks up yet another kill. Prano inside the train is holding a very tight angle and should be able to pick up some of these Elevate players if they're looking to go past. Aces takes a lot of damage. Sapper deals some more as well. Finds the head, finds the diffuser with 15 seconds left. It's going for the second gunshot, but Nay is going to be able to actually pick up a double kill from this position. It's only up to Rips now, and Nay with a triple is locking it off for Elevate.
It's another big take. It's another swing round there. They had that attention and that focus, and they made sure that they could sort of dive in on that final push onto mining. All those back lines were locked in, and without the verticality being immediately theirs, they had to sort of make one of those decisions that they've been able to make throughout this competition, which is that patented brand of aggression, of just driving themselves through and really causing some havoc.
That's it, and Prano, in theory, perfect position, right? He's looking down at the feet of the Elevate players if they were moving in, and if he picks up one kill, great. Got the diffuser there as well, went to go for the second gunfight, but Nay, like, it is a very tight angle Prano was playing there, because you're looking through 2 rotations and then through the small window in the train. Everything needs to align if you want to hit that shot, and it just clean takes that head off. Amazing gun skill there from Napier, who picks up a triple kill. But now we have to address an elephant in the room, or rather the opposite of an elephant. As
an
Elevate. It's going to be Caveira picked by Rogue. And that's why it's the opposite. Doesn't quite snap as loud as one. Let's see whether or not he's going to be able to punish Nerix, because, as you know, Silent Step counters the Inox. If you're being scanned and you activate it, it does not pop up, the ping doesn't come through. But whilst you're in the Silent Step, also no footsteps get left behind, so the Jackal won't be able to trace you.
I think it's worth sort of mentioning, since the tech timeout from Rogue, Nerix hasn't been able to net another kill. So it was obviously a big point of the conversation, as we sort of assumed it would be, was what can we do to have a little bit more awareness of this Jackal that just keeps creeping up and reaching into our holds. And it has worked, but it hasn't worked fully. As he said, he's still able to have this pressure. He's still able to get a quick clarity. So the Caveira is going to put a little bit more quandaries and queries into the side. Obviously, this is Rogue's map, and they want to try and get themselves a 4-2-half before they find themselves, well, unsaid, they're going to have to go in a 2-4-half even.
Now, what is good to mention here, Prano was on that top floor, dropped down the hatch whilst in Silent Step and went to go prone right behind near the kitchen. So if Nerix moves through, there's absolutely not a single footstep he will see except for this one that will tell, okay, Melusi is up top, no worry. And now he's being chased as he heads up to that red stairs. It's Prano that is aware that one of those scans has been made, needs to quickly take a pause, however, as the Silent Step is currently recharging. Onigiri on those brown stairs is also someone that needs needs to be very worried about a potential interrogation. Gets the down. He goes for the entry though, or for the confirm, as he wasn't a Jackal, so he knows that there could be some backup coming in. And now they know there is going to be that Caveira in that basement. And a Sapper fine to kill as Leon to drop. So Elevate doesn't seem to be too worried about it. They just leave the Caveira on that bottom floor and start hitting the side instead.
Sapper is waiting for an approach here up the top of White, but obviously now there's this caution they have to pay towards, well, that ground floor ripped away from you. You lose the Thatcher that you called for or asked for before. They're off the board and they haven't had a presence. Nerix, he's under a bit of fire and blow from the players that are on the top. He doesn't have that freedom of movement because, as I said, there's a caution that he now has to pay to the cautionary tale of, oh, we didn't fully get everything. We didn't get all that intel that we wanted here. He's waiting for a bit of a wide swing. You can hear some explosions and possible push happening around the mining side. There's obviously still Sapper on the window itself, but with Nade just finding that dig and filing their way across the side of White without any real drive here, they're a little bit lost in the water.
They definitely are, and there is still the opportunity to open up into the freezer, but as another down comes through from Prano, just lurking on to the lurker of Elevate themselves. It's again not an interrogation that comes through, but it doesn't seem to matter that much. They try to go for the side take, but Aces is ready to shut him down. 35 seconds and 2 people left on the side of Elevate, and 4 on Rogue. Are they going to be able to yet again pull out a round? It seems unlikely, but not completely impossible.
Now, Sapper, he's seeing if he can rebuild with DCH. They're a little bit isolated into pillars, and they're going to see if they can try and just drive a singular point of the 2 remaining players back against the 4 that are still stacked, 2 stories and 1 off the board. Aces is gone, but with that vertical hold that is just pointed out, the 2 stories causing problems on the other side of a chandelier. Not entirely sure where that fight's coming from. Needs the backup of Sapper, who's going to see if he can stick it on the other side, but without any cover. Well, it's a swing round and a take there from a Cav, a triple for Prano to lock it off. And a round of, well, not quite interrogations, but a Caveira causing problems.
That's it, right? The Caveira able to completely bypass Nerix there as he went for multiple spots, multiple scans. That is when you don't find out about a player being there.
It's trust.
That or about them snaking through the entire floor. That's also when you don't leave any footsteps. But, you know, they thought it was clear. Apparently it wasn't, and Prano continues to wreak havoc there. And this is what they wanted to do. They probably wanted to save some time droning, which is when you send in Nerix on that bottom floor with that scanner. You see it's clear. You don't need to drone every single corner. You just check the entries, see if there's footsteps. And they thought, okay, it's clear, let's go up. And then they didn't bother droning any further. And as a result, Prano is allowed to go free on that bottom floor and continue hitting Elevate from the back. So Rogue found a counter. Just a little bit late, maybe, you know, in that last defensive round. But they managed to pick up a round as a result. And, well, now they're heading over to the attack themselves. Elevate in a 2-4 lead.
Okay, Elevate, you've got a bit of momentum here, and now it's the pressure onto Rogue's side. Can they start to cook themselves into this game? Leon and Rips haven't quite been able to dig themselves in as of yet, and it's a bit of a balance between the other 3 gunners, whereas we sort of had a couple of pop-off players on the side of Elevate. It's a difference and a distance between being able to drive that momentum and having it driven against you. And here, Rogue, now able to sort of funnel that push into their own direction, might be able to funnel it into a little bit more success. They are obviously only 2 behind. 2 steps, 2 swings. They've used their tech timeout though, so if they start to slip a little bit further on their map, it might turn into a very quick descent.
It might definitely. As Rogue, of course, picking Kafe here. Elevate in that lead, 4 attacking rounds is an incredible feat. But now they head over to that defense, and this is where they need to be tested by the attacker Rogue. They, this time, themselves can set up a puzzle that needs to be solved by the European team. The majority German team, of course, with a small pinch of UK massive there. It's the entry on the side of Aces. It's one to be picked up, but Nerix instantly goes for a trade as he gets traded out himself yet once again by Leon as well.
It's trade for trade.
It's trade for trade.
Never stops all the way to the top. Leon is massively injured, and the Buck is in a bit of a dangerous spot with that because he knows as soon as he starts trying to apply some pressure up, there's a likelihood someone's going to start firing down, and well, he doesn't have a lot of health to be able to ensure his safety. It just takes a scrape of a bullet at this point for him to be removed from the equation of who's going to win this fight. Prano, he's getting himself stacked up and crying with a bit of width here. They can go grenade fishing or depth charge, as I've seen it called a couple of times, just to see if they can try and pull some players out with the success that those grenades up against softs have been. And well, as Leon starts to open up underneath Nay hops up onto a balcony, but it's not high enough. Those bars, they only protect you so much.
Indeed they do, and now there seems to be a bit of an issue here on the side of Elevate. Sapper rotating back up the red stairs, meaning DCH is the only one on the site right now. He's holding the fort all alone and needs to make sure that no repel in will be completed. A lot of noise is being made. 2 men on that rappel down there from the side of Rogue. Flashbangs are coming in, I believe, from below as Crying and Leon get still down, trying to make something happen vertically. It's Seppa that rotated around as well, is trying to hold off to those white stairs, but with flashbangs coming through, they seem to be aware of the fact that the pressure is coming in very soon here. One on planks is getting spotted out, but DCH picks that one up.
And it's a huge double down. Rips is the only one left standing, and at least one of them's locked in. He's sort of leaning in with the firefight. He's making a bit of noise here, but DCH and Sapper have done huge bits to hold off Lumber. They're still holding them at a bit of a stretch here, and it's coming to a rotate. The player is going underneath. They need to try and just solidify maybe an angle, maybe a bit of a catch here, and that's the game they're playing because they have 40 seconds. They have plenty of time. But it will run out, and that's that sort of gambit. How long do you see if you can put yourself into a position underneath before you go for the funnel? He's got himself some safety, and they're not going anywhere wider by the looks of it. They've only got the decision of the white stairs. There it is. He was able to find that player, find that singular take, and now it's the 2 bodies that can go for a little bit of a deep dive and a trade. The first slips by, the second gets the connection, and Rogue are able to just hold on with what almost was pulled entirely away from them.
Slowed down well there. The hatch play to come through wasn't on your screens, but I saw it happen. It was the Sledge quickly trying to find angles through the verticals that were made before by the Buck, of course. And then looked through the hatch, could just see the player, could just see the head, and picked up the kill and brings Rogue up to a 3-4 here. As Reading will be up next. Just a small slip up here on the side of Elevate. They almost managed to bring it back from a 2-on-4 situation. It wasn't until the pickup came through, the game was slowed down a little bit by the attackers because there was still that minute left at that moment in time. You didn't have to go full speed into the bomb site. You can slow it down, you can use those verticals, try and limit the angles that you need to clear out when you do finally go for that push. And a little bit of lack of anticipation coming through the end there. No information on whether or not the players will be moving up the white stairs. That doesn't allow you to go for that free fire in that case. And as soon as you then start firing, it is just a matter of tracing back the tracers itself and fire some rounds through the wall. Now, the distance is just a singular round. Rogue have won that first round successfully. However, it did come quite close, we just mentioned it before. Very scrappy opening gunfight as well, where a trade for a trade and Leon almost losing his life all the way down to 10 HP. It's something they need to prevent. You want those clean openings. That is what you prefer, because well, if Elevate are allowed to just skirmish you down to like these 10 HP situations, you'll struggle with it later on.
As I said though, being able to drive the pace might be a big maker here for Rogue. They now have that confidence and they're able to put their fraggers first, which, as we said, what was punishing them primarily on Elevate's approaches was they never really knew where the fight was going to come from until that final round, I would say, when they had the Caveira to play against it. And, well, they're going to know that it's going to come from here potentially very soon. It's knocked on the door. Rogue is going in for a pretty quick rush. They get the first body. The procs goes off, but at this point, you already know, dropped in the hatch. Sapper gets a rebuff in the laundry, cleans up, gets the second with a wide swing over the books. Red, there's a push coming up the back of the white stairs too with a little bit of cover. Onigiri on pillars finds that last player. Sapper and Prano either side of a very destroyed bookcase, and it's Prano that gets the edge, gets the bearing, gets the swing. Now they're stacked up, one on white with Leon above, and they're going to see if they can try and get a connection, but the C4 from deep in Onigiri. It's a laundry's fight. It breaks onto Zulu and Elevate. Just clutch on the rocky waters of that push.
The rush has been shut down there by Elevate. They were stacking up on the door. They were ready to go. And even though the entry frag seemed to go in the right way, it was still that English shotgun that is so devastating on that back line. You just need a singular pump in the right direction. What a flick that was, and Crying as well. With that, it is going to be Elevate that lock off that round very quickly after they have just lost round 7 and they put themselves up 3-5. 2 more rounds and they'll find themselves with the first map win here as they're headed towards Kitchen.
It's always a gamble going for that sort of play, and to be honest, one of those other connections went their way, like the very scrappy fight that we saw in Laundry. It could have been a different story. It's always down to the body balance, but as you said before, the skirmish nature, that nature of Elevate, making sure that there's always somebody ready for a fight. The fact that they were able to respond very quickly, Usually the chance on a push isn't to try and rush and go for kills, it's to rush and get the objective down. And the fact that they lent into those fights did enough to ensure that Prano could not sit down and could not try and get the diffuser.
The issue there was, right, Rogue needed to go quick, but if you go quick, you cannot just plant right behind the first bookshelf you find. Because if someone jumps down from the balcony above you, they can instantly take you out without really having to go through any of your defending attacking players, so to say. So he needed to dig in deep. He needed to get deep into Armory to potentially play next to the laundry or even at the bookshelf near the couch where that was just being highlighted as well, where Cryan was downed by that shotgun. That is where you want to go, because then suddenly there's a lot more ground that needs to be covered by defenders falling back. And now, Elevate were able to fight back. You said it, the skirmishing, there's always someone there, always someone to take a fight, and always someone to pick up these kills. And that's important because you slow them down enough. If you just get one, if you just get two, suddenly the whole plan doesn't seem to work anymore and they need to adapt. They need to slow it back down. That is an opportunity for defenders to, well, bring it back to their own pace and ensure themselves that they will be able to live through that round. But as we headed back towards the kitchen, there is a very quick entry on the side of Rogue. The complete top floor is basically already under control, and the first floor is currently being taken as well. With Aces just swinging through the pillars, swinging through the hallways, checking every single default corner someone could be hiding behind. He finds no one. And a drone, well, that gives away some clear information here for Rogue.
Yeah, they have that read, they have that bloodline of the down long corridor, that red sort of number that dances its way all across the side of it, and that gives them that little bit of width and intel, the safety and security to start trying to do some of this self-destruction work. They're doubled up. The Buck can keep himself at arm's length as the Sledge has longer work to do. There's the first firefight, and neither connect, but it's a lot more shepherding on the side of Leon that he's trying to achieve here. He's just sort of forcing them further and further away and out of these positions so they can, well, I guess pick them up a little bit easier from the alternates. And so far, unentirely contested. And obviously, they've still got to formulate the push. There's a reveal on another body. Leon suffers, but again, that's not what he's here for. He's keeping moving.
Yeah, keeps moving indeed. He doesn't want to take these fights. He just wants to make sure that it's unpleasant to play for these defenders in the positions. Because if they would play here, they could instantly be picked up, and we might even see a 5-on-5 execute happen soon, as we're a minute in, well, a minute left on the clock. And having a player up on that top floor when you do start pushing into the side could be the difference maker here. With all the entries and all the rotations that have been made, you can lock off these doors back towards the site. And as a SPAS 15 is being used by the side of the Thunderbird, that is something that I haven't seen too many times before yet, but I'm wondering how that will play out.
Well, we're about to find out there. Trying to flash their way out and around the back stairs. They're going to try and get Leon for that little bit of swing support here, but there's a rotate coming up red, or they're at least toying with the idea. The fight may be stopped there because there is that singular player watching it, and this could be a huge flank that finds its way onto the Nomad. It's a bit of a slow creep. They have to have some caution, and Rips is able to open on a Geary, so this is the take, and then just misses the connection there, pulls themselves back, puts a bit of fear in, but now they've got to go on the site, and Nerix says no, no, no. Stops them out and locks it in 10 seconds, and Prano's going to see if he can stick the diffuser, but they've lost that verticality. They're trying to find the angle, and the fireplace goes against them. Elevate, they're able to get that diffuser cold. Aces is left in the middle, and although they drop Freezer, they are entirely frozen out.
What Ney did there, just enough, Emmy. Like, he might have missed those shots, but suddenly two men are aiming towards him, and it's a 3-on-4 execute on the side, or a 3-on-3 even numbers. You no longer have that disadvantage as he occupied two of them. And as it started and they needed, and they rushed towards that plant spot, they were picked up bit by bit. Not by the verticality, but by the players who did not have to worry about verticality anymore since Ney was up there. And now they're on to a map point here, the first of the series. And if they win this one, they're headed towards their own map pick next, which is going to be on Clubhouse. Now, that is a bit of an equal ground always. Everybody knows how to play that map, but some just know how to play it a little bit better than others.
6-3. 6-3 on Rogue's map here. Elevate, they've been able to set themselves up for 3 swings at a defense to lock it out and drive themselves one map closer to continuing along the lower bracket. Rogue, they have to see if they can try and swing some of this momentum back into their favor. They've obviously lost the last 2 with 2 different styles of take. One with all the time that they can do to prep, and one with let's try and get it as quickly as possible. And they've both had their sort of elements. It's those unfortunate misconnections that Rogue have sort of suffered this whole tournament. And here, Elevate, they're more than happy to lean in. In the words of the Sonics yesterday, when they were talking about it and talking about Super, when he was doing his post-game interview after playing them and playing Damwon Kia, Elevate were the team that they were most scared about because they're so impossible to predict and so impossible to prep against.
Yeah.
For that factor is their game style is one that is just so away and removed from what you're usually up against.
Now, a small, nice, fun fact. In the first 3 rounds we played, Elevate were able to land the opening kill, all 3 of them. And I believe all 3 of them were Nerix as well. They then called a tactical timeout as Rogue was 0-3 down. And ever since, Rogue have been able to pick up every single opening kill afterwards. So the tactical timeout did work out. They didn't lose those early rounds anymore. However, it doesn't quite stop Elevate. And that is something we also see with Damwon Kia. They don't need the opening kill. They can skirmish themselves back into that fight. They can trade each other out. Even with a 2-on-4, you cannot count them out in that case. As Aces does get quite close here to find the head of the Aruni on the other side. And Nagiri is, for now, still alive.
Onigiri's doing all he can to hold himself in on the top, dropping drones and waiting for this swing round. The pressure on that window just missed the sliver, but that Tracer will give a reveal, pops a couple shots, pulls himself back, but with the body on the white window upside down rappel, there's only really, well, nowhere he can go. He's trying to find a semblance of safety, and he somehow slips into the bathroom. Just round the tight corner there, the angle being watched, and he's still under a huge amount of pressure, but it's time that's being wasted. Time that's being pulled away from this approach here. You can see that there's a lot of thought going in here from Rogue on how we get this player, but look at Napier. On the swing of that new Bauk, waiting to see if any drop comes down. The drone is rolling its way across. There's a swing and extension. They have all the support that they need. Rogue cannot quite find that inroad that they're desperately after, and, well, Nay's finally caught. Leon is able to once again add another opening here, but it's can they get that close that's evaded them for a couple of rounds.
That's it, right? And well, as Onigiri has fallen back towards the back of the side, he's playing with that Mark 14, the DMR, and he's one of those players that is an absolute beast with that weapon. You need 2 kills anywhere, 2 shots anywhere in the body, and you manage to, you know, get the kill there. So as he will be playing with it, and he has that trigger finger for it, he's going to be able to potentially be a round differentiating factor here in the end. 40 seconds left on the clock. We have Aces repelled up on the side. That is currently what the ECH is worrying about. The rest of the Rogue members are still all repelled up or ready to jump through the hatch up. So there is not much time left. They need to go for a bit of a Hail Mary here, and as Leon is the first one to be picked up, it's Sapper that gets a very important kill.
It's battle back here, 20 seconds, and they're going to see if they can just try and keep a handle on those trades, those skirmishes that Elevate have been so good at driving with a body right in the middle without the diffuser. What else can you really do? Sapper, he's trying to just keep dancing around, and there's the diffuser! Cold on the roof above the skyline, and it's all falling apart. Rips is all that's left, but he's got to pass an alibi to get there, and this first map goes to Elevate!
What an important shot that was, and up until 15 seconds left in the round, not a single member on Rogue had entered the building yet. And then the diffuser gets dropped, and suddenly all hopes and dreams for that round to try and bring it up to a bit of a more equal scoreline start.